I was young then, barely out of my teens, full of that reckless courage only youth can bestow. My parents, God rest their souls, had gone out for the evening, leaving me in charge of the old house. Not just any house, mind you. This was a place with history, a place that breathed with the echoes of generations. Creaking floorboards weren't just floorboards, they were whispers. Shadows weren't just shadows, they were watching. It was a stormy night, much like tonight, actually. The kind of rain that batters against the windows, trying to get in, daring you to sleep. I was curled up with a book, the fire crackling merrily, trying to convince myself I wasn't just a little bit spooked. Then, the power flickered. Once. Twice. And plunged the house into a darkness so profound, it felt like a physical weight pressing down on me. I fumbled for the flashlight, my heart doing a frantic jig against my ribs. The beam cut through the black, dancing across familiar objects that now seemed menacing, distorted. I told myself it was just the storm, just the old house complaining. But then I heard it. A faint scratch against the living room window. My breath hitched. My mind raced. It couldn't be. Not with the storm raging, not with the windows latched tight. I swallowed, trying to force courage into my trembling limbs. I crept towards the window, flashlight clutched like a weapon. The scratching stopped. I pressed my face against the cold glass, peering out into the inky blackness, seeing nothing but the relentless downpour. Just as I was about to turn away, something caught my eye. A glint. A pale, almost translucent hand pressed flat against the outside of the pane. Not scratching, not tapping, just there. And slowly, agonizingly slowly, it began to slide down, leaving a faint, smeary trail on the condensation. My blood ran cold. Every hair on my body stood on end. This wasn't some neighborhood prankster. This was something else. I stumbled back, knocking over a chair, the clatter echoing like a gunshot in the silent house. I wanted to scream, but the sound was trapped in my throat, a choked gasp. And then, I heard it again. But this time, it wasn't at the window. It was coming from inside. A faint, rhythmic drip, drip, drip. From the kitchen. The unseen presence. I backed away from the living room, my eyes wide, darting into every corner of the inky blackness. The flashlight beam jumped with my shaking hand. The drip, drip, drip was getting louder, mocking my terror. I knew, with the horrifying certainty, that I wasn't alone in that house anymore. The storm had brought something in, something uninvited. Every nerve-ending screamed at me to run, to bolt out the front door and never look back. But something held me rooted. A morbid curiosity. A desperate need to understand. Or perhaps, just the sheer, paralyzing terror that turned my legs to lead. I crept towards the kitchen, each footfall a thunderclap in the oppressive silence. The drip, drip, drip became a steady plink, plink, plink. And then, I smelled it. The distinct, metallic tang of copper. I reached the kitchen doorway, the flashlight beam trembling. And there it was. Not a person. Not a monster. Just a single, solitary footprint. Dark, wet, and undeniably human-shaped. On the pristine, polished linoleum floor. And from the arch of the print, a thin stream of liquid was slowly, steadily dripping onto the floor, forming a small, expanding puddle in my throat. This wasn't water. This was too dark. Too viscous. I slowly, painstakingly, lowered the flashlight to the puddle. And in its narrow beam, I saw it. The dark, glistening crimson. Blood. I gasped, a strangled sound that barely escaped my lips. The silence in the house, once merely heavy, now felt malicious. The air grew cold, an unnatural chill that had nothing to do with the storm outside. And then, from somewhere upstairs, came a faint, almost inaudible creak. Like someone had just shifted their weight. My mind shattered. It wasn't just in the house. It was upstairs. And it had left a trail. A trail of blood. My own blood hammered against my eardrums, a frantic drumbeat of pure, unadulterated fear. I didn't scream. I couldn't. All I could do was stand there, flashlight beam shaking, fixated on that dark, wet footprint, and listen to the relentless storm outside and the terrible, silent presence that now filled my home. And I knew, with chilling clarity, that the night was far from over. What do you think happened next? Did I run? Did I hide? Or did I face the terror that had entered my house?